This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
Next on the 5 o'clock report.
Prisons left unguarded.
One CO for 60 inmates is beyond ridiculous.
It's a great day in Pennsylvania for young women and girls.
The Lord just said, donate your bales to the farmers in North Carolina.
This is a prayer request. Just pray this through for us.
I thought, oh no, someone left their jacket, but then I saw something was attached to it.
Now, let's go to the newsroom.
Good afternoon and welcome to the broadcast. I'm Family Life News anchor Sarah Harnish. Stand still. New York Governor Kathy Hochul is speaking for just the second time since the prison workers' strike started more than a week ago at 30 facilities statewide.
These conditions are hard. I understand that. We need more of you on the job. I get that. But we have a situation right now which is absolutely untenable, especially the fact that there were prisons left unguarded. Think about that. The incarcerated population was left unguarded.
The governor insists she's been making concessions to get hundreds of guards back to work, but no one is returning.
We've done everything we can to encourage them to get back to work. We offered an amnesty period where they could go back to work, no questions asked. I've also had to deploy 6,500 members of the National Guard to do the jobs of those who've walked out.
But when you speak to the guards, you hear a completely different story.
Threatening to take our health insurance, threatening to fine us $150,000. You're talking to people that are threatened every single day.
Even ex-inmates like this man admit things are rough for COs, corrections officers right now, some working 32-hour shifts with no relief.
The COs need help, period. One CO for 60 inmates is beyond ridiculous. They're exhausted.
This is the second day of negotiations with the state, but so far, no movement. The rules just changed for girls' sports in the Keystone State.
I think it's a great day in Pennsylvania for young women and girls.
The ruling body for scholastic sports, the PIAA, is changing its policy to align with President Trump's order banning transgender athletes in female sports. Jeremy Samak is with the Independence Law Council. He tells WTAE.
Not only does federal law and state law protect, but now the PIAA has updated their policies to make clear that women are going to have fairness, safety, and their opportunities protected when they step on the competitive playing field.
Because the change in policy stems from a federal executive order, schools that do not comply could be in violation of state and federal law, leading to a loss of federal funding. No deal yet. House Speaker Mike Johnson hoped to bring a budget bill to the floor today, but he's facing opposition over cuts to Medicaid. Democratic Senator Chris Murphy says Johnson can't cut health care like the Trump administration is cutting other agencies like the IRS.
24% of Americans get their health care from Medicaid. They all of a sudden don't have their health care.
Johnson understanding what's at stake.
This is a prayer request. Just pray this through for us because it is very high stakes and everybody knows that.
The House Speaker says no one wants to cut health care, but when it comes to hunting down fraud or people who aren't alive collecting benefits, something has to give so the average American can afford to live.
For those of us who believe in limited government and liberty and opportunity and security, prosperity, we have to recognize that an aircraft carrier is not turned on a dime. It takes 3 miles to turn an aircraft carrier, right? It took us decades to get into the situation we're in. It is not likely that we're going to fix everything in one bill in one foul swoop. But if we can make great strides in these areas and we begin to change the trajectory of the carrier, we can turn it around.
Republicans can only afford to lose one vote for the measure to pass. Johnson says he believes he can drum up enough support to get it through. The U.S. Supreme Court is upholding the buffer zones around abortion clinics in a setback to pro-life groups. The High Court has decided not to hear challenges to buffer zones in Illinois and New Jersey. Those zones were established during the Clinton administration to limit how close protesters can get to the clinic entrances. The FAA is investigating a near collision between a Southwest Airlines plane and a smaller jet today at Chicago's Midway Airport. The business jet entered the runway without authorization as the Southwest plane was preparing to land. A former Hamas hostage addressed the United Nations Security Council today.
Noah Argamani spent about 8 months in captivity before she was rescued by Israeli soldiers. She recounted her capture, being separated from her boyfriend. As for her detainment by Hamas, Hamas, she said day-to-day captivity is uncertain for every person held.
Fox correspondent Gurnell Scott. And it's a no-go. Self-driving cars may look good on paper, but in real life, most motorists say, not for me. CBS's Jim Krasula.
Most Americans remain skeptical and leery of self-driving cars and trucks. That's according to AAA's latest survey on autonomous vehicles. Greg Brannon is automotive engineering director at AAA.
We found that 13% of consumers said that they would trust riding in a fully self-driving vehicle.
Brannon says most drivers want automakers to focus on advanced safety technology.
Still to come on the 5 o'clock report, Penn State may be closing some doors. Governor Hochul tries to monopolize on the firing of federal employees and a bill to protect gun owners who travel out of state with weapons. Those stories after weather with Kevin Williams.
A cloudy, damp evening with a spot of rain and drizzle will then give way overnight tonight to partly cloudy skies. Some slick spots could form where skies have partially clear. Temperatures will be dropping to or below the freeze point, and damp, untreated surfaces could be turning icy. Watch those secondary surfaces. Otherwise, for your Wednesday, some morning sun and clouding up with high temperatures in the 40s. A disturbance will bring another round of some precipitation, mainly rain. Wednesday night into Thursday, colder weather does return for the weekend.
Thank you, Kevin. Checking the stories making news where you live across New York and Pennsylvania. Penn State University may be closing multiple campuses. Family Life's Mark Webster has the story.
Yeah, Penn State's president said today the college has formed a group tasked with closing multiple campuses because of low enrollment. Though they didn't name who's on the list, they did tell us who's not on the list. The 7 largest campuses will remain untouched: Abington, Altoona, Barron, Berks, Brandywine, Harrisburg, and Lehigh Valley. The majority of Pennsylvania's 67 counties have seen significant population declines since the pandemic. Mark Webster, Family Life News.
New York also seeing a population decline. In fact, the Empire State has lost more people than any other state in the country every year since 2020. Governor Kathy Hochul's creating a bit of a wave today to attract new New Yorkers. In response to Elon Musk's Doge slashing jobs, she's launching an initiative called You're Hired to draw former federal employees to the Empire State.
The federal government might say you're fired, but here in New York, we say you're hired.
She touts the state's 12 weeks of paid parental leave and how New York is temporarily waiving the civil service exam requirements for many of its state job openings.
Whatever your skills, we value public service.
Interested federal workers can apply for New York State jobs at ny.gov/we-want-you. Running mate to rival, New York Lieutenant Governor Anthony Delgado issued a statement today saying all options are on the table for his political future. Earlier this week, he said he would not be running alongside Kathy Hochul for re-election, opening the possibility that the two might become political rivals. Hochul's communications director replied, saying the governor's, quote, actively working to find a new running mate for her re-election bid next year. There's a huge debate in the Empire State right now over the use of solitary confinement in prisons. The HALT Act, which passed 3 years ago, reins in that disciplinary measure. Former inmate Anthony Dixon spent more than 2 of his 30 years behind bars in solitary confinement.
It's the perfect environment to make somebody go insane. It doesn't make you better. There's nothing to do. You keep on counting the bricks on the wall.
Dixon tells Spectrum News solitary confinement is akin to torture. But New York Congressman Nick Langworthy argues it's necessary to maintain order inside prisons.
Since implementation of the HALT Act, prison violence has skyrocketed to unprecedented levels. Inmate-on-inmate assaults are up 169%, and inmate-on-staff assaults are up 76%.
The HALT Act is one of the main reasons why prison guards are on strike right now. A Pennsylvania politician has proposed a bill to protect the Second Amendment rights of concealed carry permit holders when they travel out of state. Republican Senator Doug Mastriano wants to ensure that Pennsylvania's firearm license validation system is not misused by out-of-state authorities. And next at 5, a tale of farmers helping farmers. One farmer in Pennsylvania has been delivering truckloads of hay to farms devastated by Hurricane Helene. It kicked off quite the miracle. Northwest Pennsylvania's Brittany Eisenman, our own hometown hero today. Let's listen in.
A few days after the storm, the Lord woke me up in the morning, and we have a small farm in North northwestern Pennsylvania near Knox. Our neighbor farmed 2 of our fields, and he passed away, unfortunately, last June. And we had the hay bales that he had made off of our farm. The Lord just said, donate your bales to the farmers in North Carolina. I said to my husband, the Lord is laying this on my heart to do. And usually my husband is my pump the brakes part of our team here. And he said to me, he's like, make some calls. And when he said that to me, I knew God was up to something. If he gave me the green light, I just kind of knew that God was going to do something. We just quickly realized that there wasn't anything like that happening in our area. And so the rest is kind of history. The Lord just made the way himself, like he likes to do.
When did that first shipment happen?
Our first load was sent down on October the 8th.
And where are we now?
We are at load 103 and 104.
Did you ever envision that from that one morning message?
No, sir. No, sir. We started with 35 round bales and just our load. I had one person that I had been speaking with, and I said, how do you handle donations? And she said, I don't get donations. I pay for every load that goes. She said, you're going to have to pay between $1,500 and $3,500 a load to get your hay where it needs to go. And I was devastated when I got off that call, Mark, because we didn't have the money to do that. I tell a lot of folks, I've talked about it online, but I went out and I laid in my driveway and I looked up at the sky and I started praying and I said, Lord, I know I clearly heard you. I clearly heard you tell us that we should do this. And we can't even afford one load, let alone fast forward just a week and we had over 300 bales donated. We can't do this by ourselves. You're going to have to make a way. And within a few hours, we had 3 haulers call and say, I'll donate my rig, I'll donate my time, and I'll donate my fuel costs to get it there.
That's Knox, Pennsylvania farmer Brittany Eisenman, who helps to coordinate donations and transportation of thousands of bales of hay to assist victims of flooding and devastation in North Carolina. You can subscribe, listen to, and share Hometown Heroes and all of Family Life's original podcasts at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or at familylife.org. Time next for tonight's market report, brought to you by Faithward Advisors. Wall Street is closing mixed on growing economic worries. At the final bell, the Dow Jones Industrial Average gained 159 points to 43,621. The S&P 500 lost 28 points to 59.55, and the Nasdaq fell 260 points to 1926. Faithward Advisors is a Christian financial planning firm online at faithwardadvisors.com.
Hi, I'm Rob West with the Faith and Finance Minute. Larry Burkett often said, if you're married to someone just like yourself, one of you is unnecessary. Morning people marry night owls. One spouse is chilly while the other is hot. Often, savers marry spenders. Take this listener question, for example. My husband and I have some extra money. He is the pessimist and I'm the opposite. I want to put it in short-term investments. He wants to just put it in the bank. Can you help? Well, they're both right. To an extent, it's wise to invest a portion of your finances, and it's wise to protect your nest egg. Here, a CD or money market account could be the solution. When couples have conflicts, it's always wise to pray together, ask God for wisdom, and look for a way to compromise. Discover the best Christian financial articles, podcasts, and videos by visiting our website, faithfi.com, or by downloading FaithFi, Faith and Finance from your app store.
Coming up on the 5 o'clock report, what would you do if you found a pricey jacket? What if it was left there just for you? A strange story of hospitality coming up after weather with Kevin Williams.
Tepid and fairly tranquil weather continues. Sure, we had some showers today, but nothing consequential, and mostly dry weather is due overnight tonight into tomorrow before the next disturbance arrives, with again some rain and a little mixed snow Wednesday night into Thursday. For tonight, a cloudy start for many, some scattered showers and drizzle, then the clouds break. Watch for slick spots overnight as the temperature drops toward 30. Tomorrow, limited sun, though clouds will win out, mild in the 40s. Rain and snow in the area tomorrow night. Rain showers on Thursday with high temperatures mostly in the 40s.
All right, Kevin, finally at 5, it's not a passing of a torch, but a passing of the jacket. Amy Ranneberger was among the throng celebrating the Eagles' recent Super Bowl win when she saw something.
So I went to the art museum to see the speeches. As it was wrapping up, I was leaving, and I saw a jacket hanging on some light post. And I thought, oh no, someone left their jacket, but then I saw something was attached to it.
The something was a note from the owner saying that they had found the jacket after Philly's last Super Bowl win in 2018 and decided that when they won again, which turned out to be this year, they'd release it back into the wild for someone else to find. That someone is Amy, who says she plans to continue the tradition and pass the Eagles jacket along to someone else the next time a crowd gathers to celebrate an Eagles Super Bowl win. And that's the world that we live in for Tuesday, the 25th of February. I'm Sarah Harnish, and this is the 5 o'clock report on Family Life.
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at familylife.org.